Hey everybody, welcome to the Rochester Press Box. I'm Tariq Spence, filling in for Bill Pucko. Joining us today, Nate Rowan from the Red Wings. How you doing?
I'm good. Baseball's in trouble because I'm on the show.
Oh gosh, don't do that. As long as the Red Wings are playing, we got to get to that in a moment. Meanwhile, Duffy's very orangey today.
Well, yeah, we got Syracuse has got to go on a run if they're going to make this tournament, right? And what better way to do it than with a headband worn in the Final Four by Aquinas graduate and Syracuse guard Christian White.
How can we back that up for sure?
I mean, he gave it to me. Why would he lie? Aquinas guys don't lie.
Yeah, there's no video footage of that. I don't know.
There is video footage of it, actually. There's plenty of video footage.
I'm sure there is. We'll put that up on the screen during the halftime, I guess, of this show. Well, I want to ask you, Nate, about Major League Baseball. Obviously, there's a lot of concern now. We're taping this now, so there could be some sort of drastic change between now and when this airs when it comes to the negotiations between the players and the owners. But what does this sort of all mean here? Because the longer we go, the longer it's going to take before we even get to opening day.
Yeah, so there's a report out there, Sportsnet reported that if there's not an agreement by February 28th, that opening day is in jeopardy and will not happen. They've already pushed back the start of spring training. It's kind of been negotiated, I guess, or understood that players don't need as much time as they used to in the past to get ready. But this is a critical week. The owners and the players are meeting this week. It's all about economics, right? It all comes down to money, regardless of what side wants to say whatever. It comes down to money, and they're far apart on a couple of key issues. Basically, they want younger players to get to free agency sooner, and they want less roster manipulation so that the teams can put their best players on the field. And right now, it makes more sense for teams to keep their best players in the minor leagues for maybe a couple weeks or a month so that they can have them for an extra year. And that just delays free agency. It delays guys getting their money, and that's ultimately what it boils down to.
Well, there's a little bit concern here when you mention these words, CBA, because every time that comes around, whether it's the NBA, NHL, NFL, everybody tends to get a little bit worried here. For Major League Baseball, though, they've been on a bit of a swing here of things getting a little bit more popular. Could this hurt the brand?
It absolutely hurts the brand. I mean, look, it breaks my heart because, I love to watch baseball, but from 94 to this point, baseball has been on a downtrend, right? The NHL is the only one that I think has been hurt just as much as Major League Baseball when it comes to the big four of sports. It's a football country with the NBA in a rock-solid second place. Look, you have a National League reigning MVP that's a free agent right now. There are three major teams that are going to make a play for him. That's the seventh story on the right. Like, nobody's talking about that right now. They're having more discussions about will Tom Brady potentially take a snap for the San Francisco 49ers this week than that story in itself. And even the fact that baseball is going to be delayed, spring training at least, is kind of a back burner story, which 30 years ago would have been unimaginable. Look, baseball did this to themselves. It's heartbreaking, and I don't know how you come back from it, because Sammy Sosa isn't waiting for you. Mark McGwire isn't waiting for you. Barry Bonds isn't waiting for you. Hell, Shohei Ohtani is one of the greatest talents in the history of American baseball. Does the average sports fan, can they tell you more than three things about Shohei Ohtani?
Well, the interesting thing is, you brought it up, the news cycle of all of this, too. The fact that this is the time where you absorb it with the NFL being done, NBA just getting off of their All-Star weekend, which we'll get to a little bit later on. NHL is now back. So you've got an opportunity to soak up some of that time and get excited for the upcoming season, which brings us to the Red Wings. Nate, are the Red Wings going to play this year?
We are. And the reason is that, and people disagree with this, but like in hockey for the Amherst, for example, the minor league players in hockey have a union. They're represented. They have player rights. There's no union for players in minor league baseball. So the players that are affected by the lockout are 40-man players. So any player that is on a major league 40-man would be ineligible to play with us. But our season's going to happen. April 5th is opening day. We're on the road in Toledo, and then April 12th at Frontier Field. Tickets are on sale now at redwingsbaseball.com.
Perfect opportunity to get out and enjoy some baseball. Nice weather, hopefully.
Well, I heard there's a 50-degree guarantee, so if I'm not there in my Hawaiian shirt, I'm going to that game for free. How do you like me now?
Which I expect you to be front row.
Yeah.
You're always there.
Well, and no shirt on, too. Just, something for the ladies.
That Ryan Fitzpatrick thing has gone to his head. We'll talk Buffalo Bills coming up next. You're watching the Rochester Press Box. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. Buffalo Bills segment is brought to you by Ralph Honda. For 3 generations, celebrating 50 years as New York's first and oldest Honda dealer. Visit Ralph Honda today and find out how we do Honda right. RalphHonda.com. All right, Buffalo Bills news. According to Colin Cowherd, one of the 8 best coaches in the NFL is your Sean McDermott. I'm sure you agree.
Well, yeah, I mean, find me 8 better coaches than Sean McDermott in the NFL. The man's made the playoffs 3 out of the first, 4 years that he was in Buffalo. He made the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor as his quarterback. Josh Allen just keeps taking steps forward. I mean, look, when it comes to in-game coaching stuff, Sean McDermott will have his moments. But I think he's also gotten better at that over the last 3 years. His people believe in him, unless you want to believe the reports about Brian Daboll, but the players love him. There's nothing but great things said. There have been players that have left Buffalo, and you don't hear a bad word about Sean McDermott after they go. He's everything that the Bills could have wanted, everything that we could have hoped for, Bills fans, when he showed up however many years ago and nobody knew who he was. I think you can make an argument that he's a top 5 NFL head coach. Again, I think you'd be stressed to find 5 coaches that are better than Sean McDermott in the NFL.
There are only 5 coaches on that list that he had that have won a Super Bowl. The only one other than McDermott, I believe, was Vrabel, and the other is Shanahan. So those are the only 2, and they've been pretty successful coaches in the NFL at this particular moment.
Yeah, no, Vrabel's really good if you're into a guy in a really tight shirt screaming things that ends up with his team collapsing down the stretch.
Oh, no, don't do that. Why would you start that already? We're only in the offseason. This is how he basically starts. What are your thoughts right now? Remember, he mentioned Brian Daboll leaving, so that's a big offensive move there. But you know McDermott is a defensive guy, so what are your thoughts for this upcoming year?
Well, I think the Bills were right there, right? That's 2 years in a row that they've been right there, right? I mean, you take a look at this year when they lost to the Chiefs. I mean, I hate to bring up 13 seconds, but I mean that you play that game 1,000 times, the Bills win it 999 times, right?
Yeah.
Like they're right there. So it's you feel obviously bad for Bills fans, but they're really, really close. I do hope that they address some things. They don't try to run it back again, because there are some clearly some glaring issues on their roster. But if they can fix some of those small holes, and they're not big holes, but if they can fix them, they're going to be right there again for the next couple of seasons. And it's all about taking advantage of those in-game opportunities, maybe that Duffy was talking about. If they can seize those opportunities, they got a good chance.
I mean, they've got a pretty solid quarterback, obvious. Like their mind.
Did you say pretty solid?
Yeah,
did you just describe? No, Jimmy Garoppolo is pretty solid.
No,
Josh Allen is a superstar. Are you out of your mind?
So finally, your superstar goes on vacation and is apparently recruiting some wide receivers who are top free agents at this particular time.
Yeah.
You okay with your starting quarterback recruiting wide receivers?
Yeah, of course. Give him what he wants. Like, the kid has earned the ability to say, this is what I want. I'll go even further. I don't think Josh Allen has to go out of his way to recruit wide receivers. Here's what you can do. I can take my phone, I'll get his cell phone number, and I will text you a video of all of my wide receivers all season long catching touchdown passes with balls that no other guys in the NFL can throw. I mean, look, it's fun and it's charming that, aw shucks, golden retriever Josh Allen's going to go out to Arizona and talk to some guys to bring him in, but you don't think these NFL wide receivers, offensive players, defensive players see what is happening with Josh Allen at Buffalo and don't want to be a part of it?
Well, think about this, Nate, of recruiting when it comes to sports. We've seen this in the NBA. NBA players talk to one another, recruit them to try to get them over to their team. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We see it in baseball as well with the Mets recently. That didn't turn out so well. So what are your thoughts on sort of players talking to one another to say, hey, come on over, let's be a part of this championship run?
Players want to win, right? What's the best way to bring in better players? I mean, plain and simple. And in any sport, if you're not constantly trying to get better, that doesn't mean that what you have in your current room isn't a product of something that could lead you to a championship, but you should always be wanting to improve, whether that's the players are talking to other players and their friends to try to get them to come, as long as it's legal, right? As long as they're free agents, right? If somebody's
I don't care, make it illegal. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm cool.
If you're not constantly trying to get better, whatever sport you're playing, if you're not constantly trying to get better, and at the end of the day, that's better players, then you're doing it wrong.
As long as it benefits your team, right, Duffy?
Yeah, but look, there is a caveat to this, right? Sometimes players and friends getting together and showing up on the same team causes disaster. You look what happened with Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr. in Cleveland. That's been a huge issue, and it looks like opening day, both of those guys who started on the roster last season in Cleveland could be gone.
No, we'll wait and see what happens. Buffalo Bills season is in full effect. We'll do Like It or Not coming up next. You're watching the Rochester Press Box.
Here's the Press Box trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
From travel to radio days to bloopers. Oh, and I have a special guest. You know Steve Hausman. He joins me on my next podcast at thegetawayguy.com.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us. Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. This segment of Rochester Press Box, like it or not, being brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law. Our attorneys with years of experience defending the accused. Don't go unprepared with less. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today. All right, Nate, let's talk a little bit about one Mr. Aaron Rodgers, who loves to be in the news, won the MVP, but he also likes to be on Instagram to apologize and say certain things, and he's still undecisive on whether or not he wants to play.
Yeah, well, he's a massive manipulator. He knows that the Packers need Aaron Rodgers more than Aaron Rodgers needs the Packers. So he's got this cryptic message. Nobody knows if he's retiring. Okay, he's going on Pat McAfee's show. He's going to announce his retirement. Okay, there's no announcement. This is all a game to him. He's playing this knowing that at some point the Packers are going to decide we need you back, and he's going to make a bunch of money. And if not, there's plenty of teams in the NFL that need a quarterback, and he can help them win. You know, he's not what he used to be, but he would improve the quarterback position at probably half the teams in the NFL.
He also apologized to his, I guess, ex-fiance, and he's going to turn off a new leaf, and still undecided on whether he wants to play.
Did she block him, like his text or something? Like, is this like adding her? Like, hey, when did quarterbacks eclipse wide receivers as the most drama-loving players in the NFL? Because you got what Rodgers did this week, which you're absolutely right. The guy just wants attention, right? Like, oh, you guys look at me, nobody's talking about me for a while. Then you had Brady 2 weeks before retire before saying 3 days later, I don't know, never say never, I'm not feeling it. Like,
Kyler Murray on top of that.
oh my God, like seriously, guys, you're on national television every Sunday. You make millions of dollars. You get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to tweet single tweets about products. Is that not enough attention? Go walk around the mall. People will ask to take pictures with you. What is your problem?
I have no idea. Well, the interesting thing now, I guess, for like it or not, I want to go into the possibility the end for LeBron James before he gets there wants to play with his son, like it or not.
I know you don't like it because you know exactly what's going to happen, right? Like Bronny James. Look, it sucks to live in the shadow of a father who has the talent and the influence that LeBron James has. And Bronny, as of now, and again, it's early because the kid's still a high school player, right, is being projected as a late second-round pick. But that's not going to matter. Now, LeBron knows what he's doing, and God bless him. It's his kid, right? Do whatever you want. He's forcing that kid up into the first round, so someone will take a risk so they can have LeBron James and his son on their team for his last season. And you know what team that's going to be, right? We're all aware of what team is going to overpick Bronny by 40 spots so LeBron will finally come to the place that they, in the last 2 free agent cycles, have been trying to bring him in. Are you excited about a second-round pick, picked like 12th overall, and LeBron James not being LeBron James anymore in the Garden for 1 season?
I will take it over what I've been
Oh my God, are you nuts?
Are you kidding?
Are you nuts?
Have you seen the explosion? I had so much hope for my Knicks at the beginning of the season, and it's all gone down the drain by a coach who doesn't want to play young players and wants to play as veterans and can't win against the Nets and blows the lead and loses it at the end of the game. With no Kevin Durant, with no Kyrie Irving, and no Ben Simmons.
Yeah. And it's going to get worse because you're going to overdraft a kid who probably should start in the G League. They're going to play him in New York. And look, I love LeBron. The fact that he's doing what he's doing at his age is amazing. It is amazing. He's not what he was. And we're talking 2 years from this point, that LeBron James. Oh, this is going to be hilarious.
I thank Nate for just his support. Just his support matters this entire show. Nothing else. Him? No. Unfinished business on the way next. You're watching the Rochester Press Box. The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
floated one. Score!
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. I'm Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Pucko. And of course, it is time for Unfinished Business. Pat Duffy fires off first.
As we sit here, it's officially March, and I am wearing my Final Four Aquinas graduate Christian white headband. I want to talk about the NCAA tournament, right? Because the tournament's exciting for a whole bunch of different reasons, but it's romantic for only one. NCAA basketball is like the truly final amateur sport. And I don't mean for like the top 50 recruits that are going to be playing in the tournament. Here's the thing. Christian White, who I brought up before, was a guy that transferred into Syracuse from another college after he graduated from Aquinas. He didn't play a minute in the Final Four at all, and that was on purpose so he could save his red shirt to go to graduate school on a scholarship the year after and not lose his eligibility. Good for him. And I say that, there are going to be 60 some odd teams chocked full of kids that you've never heard of before and you're never going to hear of after ever again. They're going to get their one shining moment, and a couple of them are going to rise above the rest and have amazing plays and shots and defensive stands that are going to stand out. They're going to get interviewed on Good Morning America and ESPN. They're going to talk about them on social media, and when that's all done, they're going to go back to just being normal human beings. There'll be 60, 70 guys that get a legitimate look to have a chance at an NBA career after this tournament is over. And the rest of the 1,000 of them that are going to be in this tournament, they just go back home. You know, the national championship in football, the playoff series now, most of those guys you see are going to play football at the next level. At least you know who they are. You know, they're famous in the towns that they play college football. The rest of these guys, you're not going to know. Heck, there are multiple men and women that have played in men's and women's Final Fours that are walking around Rochester right now, and you wouldn't know it unless they told you. And that is what makes NCAA Tournament March you-know-what so magical.
A week ago today, Juwan Howard, the head coach at Michigan, the men's basketball program, and Greg Gard, the head coach at Wisconsin, got into a little brawl. It escalated into a brawl after some drama at the end of a game, and it comes down to unwritten rules, apparently. And baseball has a lot of unwritten rules that are stupid. But one unwritten rule in basketball is that if you think that the other team needs to stop playing hard, then you need to stop playing hard as well. Juwan Howard's team was pressing the whole entire game, all the way up till the end, and there was a point where Gard called timeout because they were going to have to turn the ball over and he didn't want to give the ball back. When you look at sportsmanship and you want to try to point to teams handling things well, I get everybody's competitive. If you're involved in athletics in any fashion, you're really competitive. Juwan Howard obviously is competitive, but if you can't handle something simple as a team calling a timeout while you're breaking these specific unwritten rules that you're upset about yourself, you shouldn't be involved in college athletics or sports at all. The example that you're setting, there's so many eyes on you guys, and to react the way that you do in that moment simply because you're upset about a little timeout, it doesn't send a very good message, and it's not what college athletics is about.
For those of you out there that love All-Star games, I got some bad news for you. Some of them are just unwatchable. Some of the celebrity basketball stuff that I saw during the All-Star weekend in Cleveland just couldn't make it through. But the three-point contest I love. Dunk contest, no. All-Star game, yes. Loving and the way the honors of the 75 NBA teams, great. But not all All-Star teams or All-Star games are the same. Some weekends it's terrible. Some weekends it's great. In pro football, the Pro Bowl just doesn't work. Ratings show it. When it comes for baseball, actually better, especially home run derby. Like to watch that. When it comes for NHL, you're going to have to ask Duffy about that because I've never seen an All-Star game. No, I take it back. It's a lot of scoring and it's a lot of fun, so I give him credit for that. But what I am giving you credit for is the fact that the All-Star game every once in a while has these moments where they're just unwatchable. These athletes just want to continue on with their regular season, go for the championship, the ultimate prize, and really could sometimes care less about whether or not they're hosting an All-Star trophy. My point to this is this. All-Star games are great for fans and should be just used as that, a way to connect with fans, young players, and to grow the sport. But the games and all the other antics are just not necessary all the time and could run some of your fans off. That's the Rochester Press Box Unfinished Business. As always, Nate, good luck to you and your guarantee for 50 degrees on opening?
50 degrees. If it's not 50 degrees, at some point on April 12th at Frontier Field, anyone who has a ticket can use it for any other game in April or May.
General Manager Dan Mason is planning on setting several bonfires around the stadium to try and get that up. So just a heads up.
Well, you did promise to take your shirt off. Not that I want to see that.
Kind of sounds like you did. Kind of sounds like you want to see me with your shirt off.
That's all right. Thank you for joining us for the Rochester Press Box. Enjoy the rest of your day.